Now, after defeats like this, after defeats in the manner like this, I need to ask myself, I need to understand, why did we lose the game in this type of manner? Now, of course, I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm disappointed. I mean, there were some pretty terrible performances out there. I'm looking at guys like Timo Werner, I'm looking at guys like Kai. I thought Reece today wasn't even at his best. You could go on. But it doesn't do enough for me to just leave it at that. I can't just leave it at being frustrated and annoyed. I need to try and think and figure out why we lost the game today, because I was seeing some very unfamiliar things today. I mean, it really kicked in for me actually right when the game was about to end. We saw Neto absolutely breeze past Reece James on the right hand side, and that's something I don't think I've ever seen before. It was effortless, it was easy, and it felt like Reece just could not keep up with that pace whatsoever, and it didn't make any sense to me. I was thinking, what is happening tonight? How is it that it's not one player, not two, maybe half the team or most of the players in the team tonight did not have great games? And the moment that we made it 1-0, it felt like all our quality just left us. It felt like all our ability just left us, our imagination, and I started thinking about that second half even more, yeah. Because I felt like our build-up play was pretty terrible. I mean, I can't be the only one to think that. I felt like we lacked so much imagination, especially in that second half. It was like the only move we had in us was just finding Ben down the left-hand side so we can put in a hopeful ball from very deep. And I'm thinking, now we didn't spend all this type of money, but not working in all these types of conditions and training to be this type of team where we're doing the same type of plays from last season. I mean, this was the most last season game I've seen this season, to be honest. I'm trying to understand you guys because it doesn't make sense. And of course, I think about the players. I'm thinking, okay, they're human beings. We can't forget that. Constantly running, exerting energy, and considering that we had our other game just 3 days ago, I mean, I'm guessing there's not even any time to really properly train. I'm guessing it's just a case of just, rehabilitating and conditioning and trying to get some form of fitness for this game. But at the same time, even though, and I'm saying it straight, I definitely feel that fatigue played a part in today's game, I'm not saying that's the only reason, because for me, I don't boil things down to one reason. There were a combination of reasons that all add up together. And for me, that combination is fatigue. That combination is Frank Lampard. And, maybe I'm thinking maybe it's about time to start rotating slightly. Not saying rotate heavily, but rotating a bit slightly. I'm looking at some of the lineup choices, and I can admit now, some of this is in hindsight, because when we saw that lineup, you guys, we were hopeful. We saw that tried and tested midfield that's been so prosperous for us this season in Kante, Mount, and Kai. Of course, you're going to dream. Of course, you're going to think about, obviously, the 3 points at the end of the game. But the reality is, fantasy reality is two different things. Kai, it's obvious that, he's still not back to full speed. But the question now is, if he isn't, considering how important it is to, keep our momentum, keep these points coming, maybe it's time for Kai to go to the bench and maybe come on as a sub where he can slowly rehabilitate himself. Because I think if Kovac started ahead of him, especially when Kovac's form has been, very good recently, it's definitely picked up so much. I mean, it was clear that he was not fit at the start of the season. He now is. And just seeing what he's brought to our midfield, his great close control. I mean, today, he did one thing that annoyed me, and I'll get to that later on, but on the ball, there was this one amazing world-class first touch where he skipped past like 2 Wolves players before getting taken down in our own half. And, that's what Kovac's about. That's what we love to see from him. And I just feel like recently, with how he's been playing, how he moves between the lines, that quality in terms of keeping the possession of the ball. And to give him credit, he has been attempting a lot of forward passes. That is one thing I have been noticing about Kovac. He's not been afraid to get inside the box. I'm not saying he's being perfect, but considering that Kai is nowhere near his best right now, and considering that for this system to fully work and to fully run, we need Kai to be at his best, because You know, it felt like there was a criminal lack of understanding today on the fields. The relationships, the combination play, that really broke down as the game was going on. Now, yeah, we started the game off well. And this is what I mean, you guys, by me thinking that fatigue had a part to play in this really poor performance today, because when we started, we were seeing some combination play down the left-hand side. And, you know, one massive positive, the biggest, the only positive today, Christian Pulisic. Christian. I mean, you could see immediately what we missed in the last game. His ability to go 1v1. I mean, he absolutely tore Semedo apart. And seeing this game today made me clock, oh, this is why Barcelona got rid of him. Because consider that Pulisic ain't even fully fit, yeah? He was not fully fit. And the way it was just effortlessly breezing past Semedo, left, right, and centre, the way he helped speed up our play, it's what we need. We need a 1v1 king in this team just to keep the balance in the attack, because I feel sometimes we can be a bit too narrow. Way too narrow at times. And I do get it, because we're looking to get the width from our fullbacks. But, you know, sometimes, especially in the Premier League, you do get space down the flanks. And this is why it's great to have a player that is comfortable getting past his back consistently, because it creates more space for you and more opportunities for yourself. So, Pulisic today, we have to keep this guy fit at all costs, please. Keep this guy fit at all costs, please. Honestly, I don't think I could cope, you guys. I honestly do not think I could cope. And yeah. He's such a key player for the team right now. But I think one key player is actually Mr. Hakim Ziyech. Now, I feel like the reason why we're not looking as great recently is because the combinations on the right-hand side aren't there. We saw that with Ziyech and with Reece, constant interchange 1-2s. They had that telepathic understanding immediately. Immediately they had that. And now it's not there. You know, you see Kai playing backwards passes to Reece, or you see Kai being a bit too infield and looking to do his own thing, not really linking up as well with Reece right now. This probably explains why Reece wasn't as effective today, because he hasn't been getting in them same forward areas that we tend to see him in. I mean, of course, teams have their plans against us too down that side, and I think this is why Ziyech is even more important, because he gives us that solution to unlock the door. Basically, he gives us that solution to, you know, get past these types of teams with their low blocks and their deep defensive setups. And you know, when you don't have one of your key players in your first team, then of course it's going to reduce the quality that you can see. And I think one player that gets affected by that is actually Timo Werner, because one thing that I think most of you guys are watching already know, Werner is not someone you're going to use for your build-up. That was always been a major criticism of his back in Germany. Under his previous manager, he did really well. He worked very well in that respect, but you know, certain conditions had to be created for him in that sense to get better at playing in between the lines. For me, Werner's the type of player that gets on the end of moves. That's why we signed him. You know, throughout last season, how often did we create opportunities without having that finisher inside the box? So when I'm seeing Werner acting as like a winger, you know, receiving the ball from like the halfway line, it doesn't sit too right with me. And maybe this explains his, I don't want to say confidence issues, but he's not looking like himself. You know, heavy touches, looking uncomposed. The dribbling's been terrible. I can't remember the last time he got past his man. And the finishing too, not even connecting properly with the ball. I mean, the best passing move of the entire game was when Werner had a chance to connect at the end of it, and he completely fumbled it and messed it up. Now, this is where you'd hope you'd have a fully fit Hudson-Odoi for times where when Werner isn't about, then you can replace the quality in the team. But he's injured right now, and that's not a solution we can turn towards. But when you have Ziyech playing in this team, yeah, his ability to play those, you know, deep through balls on the right-hand side, allowing a on-running Werner to run in behind to get on those passes, that's what he's about. I mean, you guys, you've seen my reaction videos. It's not like Werner scoring like, you know, 20 different combinations of goals. He kind of scores the same goal. You know, he's a system type of player in that sense. And sometimes, I have to see more games, but I do feel like, okay, if Werner isn't playing as well, is he like a reflection on the team? Is he reflecting that their team isn't playing as well if Werner isn't fully firing? Because when the team fires, you tend to see Werner, being pretty decent and being involved in the game too. So, it felt like we lacked those things today, and these were things that Wolves did not lack, because honestly, it's not very often I feel like I'm ever praising opposition players, but Podence and Neto, wow, big performances today. They definitely took advantage of the situation. They definitely showed their immense quality. I mean, Neto, I'll be real with you, I was not expecting that goal to go in the back of the net. That surprised me when I saw it. I was not expecting it. I do feel that Zuma could have got a lot tighter, 100%. And I even understand and sympathize with the fact that, yeah, he literally just got back into his own half after running back from the opposition goal, going for a set piece. So I can see big guy like him tired, a little bit of complacency, not getting tighter. It's a shame, but it's what happens to humans. Fatigue, mistakes kick in, and I think that really reflected how we ended this game. Just terrible crosses, terrible passes, terrible combination plays, zero combination play near the end, basically. And it was weird because it felt like we were getting a slight bit of luck. Giroud, of course, he got the first opening goal, and VAR came through and helped us out. VAR helped us out this entire game. Neto had a penalty appeal, which was clearly not one whatsoever. He was milking it. Obviously, he was feigning it to, force the situation. But at the end of the day, even though luck was on our side for some things, for me, the most frustrating thing, and it's one of the other reasons as to why we lost this game, alongside the lineup selection, alongside team fatigue as well, for me, is the immaturity at times. Now, the way every man flooded forwards near the end of that game, I was thinking to myself, you guys have been playing dead combination plays for the past 20 minutes where Ben Chilwell has to be like David Beckham and just play like the perfect ball of all time. This was clearly a game that we couldn't win and get the 3 points, and sometimes you have to accept that. And sometimes you got to be professional. Sometimes you got to take the 1 point, be happy with that, recoup, get your energy back, and get ready for the next game. This is something that we still have not mastered, even though we've got better at set pieces, even though we've got better at other aspects like our defensive structure, our attacking plays, the playing transitions. I can go on. But this is the game management that we need to see. Because to concede in the final minute of the game, regardless if you're playing well or not, should not be happening at all. This is a massive L and a pretty shameful way to end the game. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line CV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.